and gentlemen, it is now 5:34 PM. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission work session of Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. Did anyone sign up to speak on any item listed on the work session agenda?
There are no comments. Please proceed.
Thank you. All right, do we have any report on the city council meeting decisions of August 28th besides what was our packet? No? All right. Then we'll go on to the public hearing items.
Okay, excuse me, the first items are the consent agenda for approval, the minutes and plat 2025-237. There's one that is changed as now, it was, item number 4 was originally for disapproval, and it's now for approval. Nicely, it's in numerical order still. So it's items 2, 3, and 4 would be for approval now. And then items 5 and 6 would remain for consent disapproval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No. Thanks.
Okay. Next item is Special Fence Plan 2024. Still working through these. 411-SFP. And go ahead. As you say, welcome everyone to Taco Tuesday P&Z.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. Haley here with Planning. So the first case is that 2024 411 SFP. We've kind of seen this in passing before. It's just the first time it was notified, applicant wasn't present, and then last time we accidentally put the wrong date. So, but now it's finally come in front of you to be able to actually have your recommendation for tonight. This is located at 806 South Loop 12. The request is a variance from section 33A-2, which is setbacks of the Land Development Code. This is to allow an 8-foot tall R-panel metal fence within the required 30-foot front yard setback along South Loop 12. After review, staff finding says the request does not meet the criteria listed for a variance for the fence ordinance. In terms of public comments, there's been 1 in support and none in opposition. So this is the subject property. Future land use such as regional commercial, surrounding zoning, property owners that were notified, and I believe the letter of support came from number 10 right here. And this is their site plan. So kind of to talk about some backstory about the case. There existingly has been there a chain link fence, about 6 feet in height. It's been there since before 2001, so it's been there a very long time. But now because of TxDOT right-of-way acquisition, they've lost some land and now have to remove the fence and then rebuild. So that's why he's here today. He wants to put it where it was initially, which of course would be within that setback. Let's see. And there is a stipulation too for section 1510B, which talks about our fence. It's our fence ordinance. It just goes into how if it's in property located in a zoning district that designates outside storage as an allowed principal or accessory use, which it allows on this property, they can have a solid foot up to 10 feet in height, provided that the fence is at least 10 feet away from the right-of-way, which is not meeting, so hence again why they're coming for the case. What they're proposing, like I said, it's going to be like a metal fence blind, so you're not going to be able to see through it, and they're wanting to put it on the north side, 1.5 feet from the property line, then in the middle have like a gate, a motorized gate, and then anything south of that fence would be 2.5 feet from the property line. So this is the subject property. This is south of the subject property, north, and then west, so that South Loop 12. And then I'm open to any comments or questions.
Are they trying to put this where the old fence has been?
Yes, it's just now they're going up in height and now it's gonna be metal, and it's technically closer to what's now the new property line, so.
Okay, but that's because of TxDOT's expansion?
Yes.
It's not a moving of the fence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Was there a comment about it creating some site problems?
I think initially, but I think it was the 2.5 feet, that's why on the south side, because since they're going north on the highway, that's where that 2.5 feet came from. And then the only other stipulation was for the gate was to make sure it either slid across or at least opened into the property and not go, towards the road.
So there's no concerns about drivers not being able to see where they need to see for turns or anything like that?
Unless Cody has anything additional, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, normally when we look at any type of fence, they have to meet all the sightline criteria outlined in our access management manual. So we'll double check the sight lines, and that's probably where the 2.5 foot offset came into. That just gets them outside of what we require.
Okay.
So I noticed there's a barbed wire on top as well. Does that include the 6 feet? Or 6 feet of fence and then there's like a slanted barbed wire?
I believe, Ken or Jocelyn, I can't remember, does the barbed wire, is that included in the fence height, or is it only the post, the top part of the post?
Yeah, Typically, the barbed wire on top is not part of that height.
Yeah.
So can we, if we do approve it, can we restrict them from putting barbed wire on top? Because then it will go even more higher. Is that a consideration, or we're allowed to do that?
I believe so. Skin, yeah.
You probably could. I mean, they do that for security, obviously. Might be a question. Hopefully the applicant will be here tonight. Just discuss it with him. I don't know, visually, you generally don't see barbed wire. I mean, it's a little more obscure. But often they want it if they think they're gonna have a security issue. But they have chain link now, so maybe it hasn't been a problem.
Yeah, I believe he hasn't had much issue, but until like kind of recently, but this was after he already put in his zoning case. I mean, there hasn't been any mention of using barbed wire again, since this is gonna be higher and it's gonna be a solid fence. But again, the applicant should be here to see what he's actually planning, if he is gonna do barbed wire or not.
Can you go back to the slide showing the neighbor who has the solid fence? Okay. All right. Commissioner Denny, you next? Or
My concern is if we move the fence in and don't give him the variance on the north side, if you could go back on the north side of the property, nope, back,
This one?
nope, one more.
This one?
No, the plat, the site plan.
Oh, the site plan, sorry.
Yeah. Is you're gonna cut off all that space on the north side, because he don't have that much room between his existing fence and the building now.
Yeah.
So if we don't figure out some way to give him a variance, at least up in that area, he loses all that other property up there that he uses for storage right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about that last time, too. Yeah. Commissioner Denny?
So is it correct that there's only one point of ingress and egress, and it's that frontage road?
Correct.
And so it was noted there's a concern about potential queuing on the access road. So I take it that's still a concern, right?
I think it had to, excuse me, I think it had to do more with the gate, as long as it's enough in. I believe traffic, I mean, Cody, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like as long as they weren't moving closer to Loop 12, that it shouldn't be an issue, and as long as it's the gate, like I said kind of earlier, like it either slides or it opens into the property, that would give more room for queuing, so.
So with the TxDOT expansion, does that mean they're losing space between the fence and where the right-of-way would be?
So I believe this used to be, I think this used to be the old property lines, and this is the new one, because we had them get a new survey. So this is what has been taken out for the right-of-way between the dash line and the solid line. So this is a plan as with already taking into account that.
So
that
they're not,
loss.
because I think if I was looking at the right picture, they currently have space between the access road and the fence. And that, like, for parking but that's going to be taken away?
I think it's just grassy area.
Yes, it's kind of a grassy, I don't know if this is
Yeah,
formal
well,
parking or not, but that's what.
Well,
they-
right.
That's right of way.
It shouldn't be parking.
Yeah.
So,
Well, but we're talking about potential queuing, like that's space someone could wait. It's not going to be in flow of traffic. But so are we talking about that being taken away as part of, so that's still going to be there? Got it.
Ken?
Just to go back to the question on the barbed wire, going to that section of the fence ordinance, basically it can't be put on any fence that's lower than 6 feet, because you don't want people just running into it. And it cannot be, the overall fence height, it says, can be no higher than 10 feet. So in other words, you could have an 8-foot tall fence and then 2 feet of barbed wire on top of that.
Any other questions? No, doesn't look like it. Thank you.
all righty, thank y'all.
Good evening, everyone. Next case is zoning case 2025-129-ZC at 906 King Avenue. It's from R6 to SP2 for R6 with variances to minimum lot width and lot area as determined by section 535. So we have it's a pretty large lot that's existing here on King Avenue, and there's an existing house, and it's currently zoned R6, as are all these, most of these other properties through here. There's a couple with a site plan zoning, but most of these are R6 zoned. The issue is that because they're all such large lots, we have the section 535 of the Unified Development Code, which is for neighborhood compatibility. So where R6 normally, it would be fine to have a 50-foot wide minimum lot and a 6,000 square foot lot size because of the average of the surrounding area, and I'll show you that graphic in a moment. You have to, 535 says it can't be less than 80% of the surrounding area. So 80% of the average of the surrounding area ends up being 59 feet and a little over 11,000 square feet in area. So what they're proposing is basically to divide this into 3 tracts. Tract 1 and 2, the 2 pink areas, would be basically identical, 7,700 square feet, 55-foot lot width, and 65. And then tract 3 would not need a variance. It's 65 feet wide, so that exceeds the minimum lot width, and it'd be 18,773 square feet, so that exceeds the minimum lot area. So really, the variance is for these tracts 1 and 2, the pink parts. They do intend to keep the house. They understand they're going to, when they come to platting the property, they'll have to do something, either maneuver the property line or take down this structure over here in order to basically have at least the 5-foot separation. So the calculation, it's not a simple one. You have to read the ordinance about 6 times and then go cross-eyed and do it 2 more times. But it's basically you have, it's 3 properties on either side and then whatever's across the street. So properties to the east, you have 1, 2, and then you do cross the road. So this would be the 3rd one over here. And on the west side, 1, 2, 3. And then across the street, you have 1, 2, 3. So the orange are and blue are what those existing lots are. The pink are what are the lots that would require variances, what they're having. Then the 11,440, that should actually be 7,700 square feet on these 2 lots here. But so they have to have at least 59, again, 59. This is actually should be 55 and 55, my apologies. The existing house, again, will remain. You have the properties to the east and to the west, north of the subject property. And again, you have 55-foot wide lots, 65. The yellow is not a variance, the pink ones are. They do exceed the R6, but they don't meet the 535 requirements. We did have 2 responses in support and 7 unique responses in opposition, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Commissioner Lightfoot?
Did you, why did the applicant do a sort of hammerhead or tease lot on the big one? Why didn't he just take the pink ones all the way down?
That'd be a question to ask the applicant. There are some sheds and other structures back here. Perhaps they wanted to keep those with the main house, because remember, the main house is staying.
Yeah, it's just sort of, it reminds me more of a flag lot type situation to a certain degree.
Commissioner Denny?
Just a question. With those measurements, the way the ordinance is written, if he had split this parcel into 2 lots instead of 3, it looks like there would have been a way to comply with those minimum requirements.
Yes, but he wants to keep the house and it's in the middle of the lot, so he couldn't really divide it down the middle and keep the house.
So there's probably a variance one way or the other.
Yeah.
Or I think the property that was just to the west, it had been divided up into 3, but kind of like what Commissioner Lightfoot was asking, it looked like they divided it all the way the length. So there would have been a variance as to the width, but I don't think there needed to be a variance as to the lot area. So there
It
was,
probably still would be, because again, they'd have to meet 11,000 square feet.
I think they
so
did.
it's-
If
yeah.
it, on the chart, if you go back to the chart that shows the other properties, I think those ones to the
Well,
west.
Well, if they came all the way down, yeah, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying, yeah.
So if they took the property to your right and they moved it over, because you got 65 feet on that one lot, if you moved it over, you would be in compliance with no variance, and you dropped it down, you would be in full compliance. You would not need a variance. The only one that would need a variance would be the one on the left at that point, and that would only be, if you brought it all the way down, that would only be to the width of the lot by 3 feet. But you could bring the one on the right in compliance by moving it over a little bit and bringing
By
it
4
down.
feet?
Yeah, and moving it down, the one on the,
And then the middle one is already in compliance. and
yeah,
So
the
the only
middle
one that
one would
would,
still be in compliance, and the one on the right, if you brought
On
it
the one-
down,
yeah.
you would be in compliance by square footage, but you would just need a 3-foot variance, so
for
that's
that,
all it
for the
would
one
need
on
to
the
be done.
left?
Yeah, or the one on the left, yeah. The one on the left would just need a 3-foot variance across the front. Yeah, yeah, track 1.
Any other questions? No?
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll save Gina the trip on this one. This is, staff is recommending to postpone this case to October 6th for re-notification. We are going through the review of this case. We found that there was actually an extra variance that was going to be needed for this, and that was after the advertising had passed, so need to, I'm sure Gina would be happy to go over it, but, okay.
Will we need to do a public hearing on it and then vote to postpone?
Yeah.
And then postpone to that specific date?
Okay.
thanks.
Good evening, Commissioners. Gina Costanza Grant with the Planning Department. The next case is 2025-242-ZC, located at 1306 West Grauweiler. The request is to rezone the property from R75 to an SP2, or generalized site plan, for R75, which is one of our single-family districts, with a variance to allow an accessory building with an indoor shower, built-in HVAC system, natural gas connection, more than 2 rooms, and the addition of a closet. The staff does find that there's no unnecessary hardship. We did not receive any forms or any public comment forms in support. We did receive one in opposition. And this is an aerial of the subject property. future land use map, zoning map, property owner notification boundary, and the proposed site plan. The area that you see in green is the footprint of the proposed accessory building. It's proposed to be about 1,500 square feet, located in their side yard, which is on their south side of their lot. The building is proposed to be about 12 feet, 12 inches tall, and it will include the following rooms that you can see on their floor plan. They're proposing a fitness room, a relaxation and massage area, a sauna, a steam room, and a full bathroom. Because this type of accessory building does not fit into the typical requirements for an accessory building, which in our city are more strictly for storage and, perhaps a workout room or an office, they are requesting this variance to allow the building under what we would qualify as a dwelling accommodation. Under a dwelling accommodation, it, in the city's definition, makes the unit livable, and it has to have these 6 components. One of those is being a kitchen with an oven range, an indoor bathtub or shower facilities, built-in heating, ventilation, or air conditioning, natural gas service, more than 2 rooms in the building, and a closet in any room. This particular proposed building has all of those except for the kitchen. Regardless, the applicant did state that they are not planning to use it for any type of commercial purposes, and they were willing to put notes on the site plan that limit the use as personal for the owner and occupants of the main dwelling. They have also placed a note that the accessory building won't be used or rented for dwelling accommodation purposes, and a note that states that there will be no separate utility meters on the accessory building. Other than that, it does meet all the other criteria as far as setbacks and height. But since the owner could expand the existing home rather than adding a separate accessory building to the property that does not comply with the definition of dwelling accommodation, the staff did not find that there was a hardship for the variances requested. And this is the subject property. This is looking to the west, to the east, to the north, and I am happy to answer any questions you have.
Did you say that the restrictions that would be put in, that the owner stipulated to would be written into it?
Yes, they are on the site plan.
Okay.
Gino, did they say why they just didn't do an extension to their home instead of adding another structure?
They did not.
Do you know anything about the concerns raised by the letter from the neighbor?
We just found those out within the past couple days, so we have been in contact with code compliance, and they are here to answer any questions to that nature if you have them.
Yeah, we would be
that was-
interested.
yeah,
we-
that was
We
my
would kind of
question.
like to know if there seems to be any merit to what's being said.
No.
And while Shane comes up too, I wanted to add, while they're saying that it will be for their use, and that is what they're indicating, a new state law, effective on Monday, effective yesterday, is more generous about home occupations and how someone can use their property and being a low impact. And so it's be more difficult for us to control whether they use as a home occupation or not. So Shane could also expand on that if you had more questions about that.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Shane Giller, Code Enforcement Director. The opposition letter had mentioned some issues with greenhouse buildings in the back and some planters that had been constructed along with business or agricultural activity that they had witnessed. Code enforcement staff connected with the neighbor who had sent the letter, as well as visited the property, and have spoken with the applicant, representative of the applicant. And what we found was that there was a greenhouse building, that was one single greenhouse building that was constructed in the back. It did not have a permit, and we notified the property owner of that. And we found about 8 raised flower beds, if you will, some sort of growing beds in the backyard that had been constructed around the greenhouse. They tell us that those are for personal use, just for growing of items and crops and stuff in the backyard. The greenhouse is in the process of being dismantled, and they intend to apply for the appropriate permit and have that reconstructed. That's something that can be built by right as long as the permit is obtained due to the dimensions of the building. As far as the use of the property, we can't determine that there's any business use going on there. We haven't seen any. Granted, we've only been looking at this since the end of last week and then again today. The assertion was that there was some sort of agricultural business being run from the home and trucks arriving with supplies or equipment. Those could be related to the number of large flower beds that were built in the back, as well as the greenhouse. It's also important to note, I think, that the state law preempts us from applying zoning regulation or most of our code standards, frankly, to agricultural operations in Texas. And so even if they were operating some sort of agricultural business from the home, that wouldn't be something that would be preempted by our zoning code. What else can I answer?
Do any of the other commissioners have questions for him?
What could this property be used for? Let's say these people decide to sell it 10 years from now.
You're talking about legally or conceivably?
No, legally.
Legally, okay.
Yeah, legally, I mean, if we let them build this, I mean, 10 years from now, what could we be looking at if this property sold?
Assuming the legal framework is still in place 10 years from now as it is today, the state law now preempts us from regulating any type of home business that isn't what's called an impact business. So if it's a no-impact business, meaning that it does not store or operate outside, meaning that it has ample on-site parking, and that it doesn't exceed the occupancy of the dwelling, then they can operate basically any business that isn't specifically a sexually oriented business, some sort of hazardous type business. If there's a fire code that triggers some sort of hazard there with chemicals or manufacturing, that sort of thing. They can't do anything alcohol related. There are some constraints there, but it's fairly broad beyond those limitations. And this property, being the size that it is, has ample on-site parking. If we look at the number of bedrooms right now that it has, it's got, according to DCAD, 5 bedrooms. So you'd be able to have 2 occupants per bedroom plus 1 on the property, meaning that you'd be able to have up to 11 employees and/or clients/customers to whatever the business is operating on the property, and all of that would be legal.
So this could be a fully functional spa to the public, basically.
It could be, yes.
I only want to make a comment that it is fully set up for occupancy. And while it doesn't have a kitchen, it's really easy to put in one of those little convection microwave combination burner elements. So I'm not in favor of this, as it stands as a separate building.
Any other questions? Nope. Thank you very much.
Any other zoning-related questions?
When was this house built?
Very recently.
It was pretty recent. I'm not sure if it was this year or 2024. But from what I understand, the original structure was demolished, and this home is, I think, under a year old.
So I guess the new buyer is the one who's proposing this.
That's what I would assume. I don't know when the ownership changed.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Thank you.
Okay.
I-
All right.
I showed that, I'm sorry, I showed that it was built in 2023 at some point in time. That's what DCAD has.
That it was completed?
That's what DCAD has.
Wow.
One last question, I'm sorry.
Sorry, just out of curiosity, on the cat, what's the square footage?
It's pretty big.
Uh,
I want to say it's 5,000 something.
Yeah, 4,074 square feet.
How many bathrooms does it show there?
5.
5 bedrooms? Or
I
was
mean, it is a pretty nice house. I mean, you seen it? I mean, it's a really, really nice house. I mean, I'm not sure if really somebody's trying to build this for a business in this nice of a property. It's probably one of the nicest one in south of 183. And, but of course, if they sell it, that might be an issue. But at the same time, I'm not sure if somebody will buy this to convert it into a business, so I don't know.
Commissioner Merrick?
Yeah, my last question is this a homeowner or a business? Because it says Quantum Elite Homes.
That's the applicant. The owner, I believe, is Four Squirrels LLC.
Okay, so that's
Four Little
another business,
Squirrels.
not a.
It is an
individual.
LLC, and that's how it's listed in DCAD. But they were not representing themselves in any way on the application. They had an applicant sign and was given permission to do that for them.
Commissioner Ahmed? I think he was, sorry.
Would it be any different if they decide not to do the bathroom and kitchen, and they say, hey, we just want it for recreation purpose? At that time, is that still ADU and the same rules? Because I know, like, if there's no plumbing and no gas or kitchen, then it's different. What would it look like if they came and they're like, this is not looking good, we will remove shower and kitchen?
So they would have to remove the shower facility. They could have a toilet and a sink, so they would have to take out the shower. They would have to remove any kind of built-in heating or air conditioning. They'd have to remove the natural gas service. They would have to make it all one room, or just 2 rooms, but no closet.
So would that be in compliance if that was their
Yes.
backup plan? Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Sure, okay.
Four Squirrels LLC is related to Ace, where is it? Ace, I just had it, sorry. Ace Farming LLC.
Sorry, going back to the cat, on the, it should show their transfer date, a deed transfer date. I mean, I want to make sure the property was sold, or was this the builder who owns the property?
Under
Because I
the
don't believe there
history
is
area.
MLS record of. It should say at the top, it should say like a deed transfer
I mean,
date.
DCAD shows 4 Little Squirrels LLC 2023, 24, and 25.
And that's the kind of the year that it was built.
It looks
Ownership,
like
for
the
sure.
construction probably started in 2023 or 24. Wade might be able to find the exact date of when it was completed, but
Yeah, it doesn't show ownership prior to 23, and normally it does. That's what's interesting on DCAT,
well, I think it
yeah.
was platted. I think that's what happened.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did have a plat that was approved, I think at 23, or 22 maybe.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, we ready for the next one?
I think so.
Okay. Gina Costanza Grant with the Planning Department again. Next case is 2025-252-ZC, located at 5000 West John Carpenter Freeway. The applicant's requesting to rezone from SP1 CP, or detailed site plan for commercial park and hotel uses, to SP1 CP for a detailed site plan commercial park with a hotel, and also variances to the hotel development standards. Those variances are to the minimum front building setback, maximum lot coverage, maximum lot height, and to the minimum parking setback from State Highway 114. The staff recommendation is no unnecessary hardship, or finding is no unnecessary hardship. Public comment forms, we did receive one in opposition and none in support. This is an aerial. You may all remember this. This came before you last December 2024. The hotel was demolished after a fire in 2022, so you can see there just kind of the footprint that's left. Future land use map, zoning map, property owner notification boundary, and their proposed site plan. The original hotel was built in 1997, prior to the adoption of our hotel development standards. If they were wanting to rebuild in the exact same configuration as the original hotel, with everything being the same on that approved site plan, they could do that. Since they are requesting a new current design and a slightly different footprint, slightly different parking lot, they are required to be evaluated against those new hotel development standards that were adopted in 1999. Again, in December of 2024, the council denied a previous request from the same owner and applicant. Since that time, the applicant has eliminated 4 of the previously requested variances. Those were for recreational facilities, a lounge area, minimum number of parking spaces, and the provision of a porte cochere. So they are now providing all of those. However, 3 of the previous variances remain. Those are for the number of rooms, the minimum size of the required meeting space, and the parking setback adjacent to State Highway 114. They have also added 2 additional variances in an effort to enhance their outdoor recreation space. They would like to add a trellis for shade, also a barbecue grill and a fire pit. And because of the location of those in relation to the setback, they do need to request a variance from that. The proposed hotel is supposed to be 4 stories with 130 rooms, extended stay. This chart summarizes the variances compared to the originally approved plan and the current UDC requirements. So they have gone up in the number of rooms since the previous request. However, they are still not meeting the total of the 200 that's currently required. Regarding their meeting space, they are short on that by about 3,800 square feet. The outdoor pool and spa that was originally there is not planned to be replaced. They are, instead of the current UDC requirement of 1,000 square feet, proposing an exercise room that's 627 square feet. They do actually have a lounge area that's combined with their lobby. The parking spaces are no longer requesting or needing a variance. And under the commercial park district, they're requesting variances again for lot coverage, the number of stories. Maximum is 3 or 50 feet, and they are proposing 4 stories. And the front yard setback again for the trellis, the grill, and the fire pit. Oh, and the parking setback adjacent to State Highway 114. This is looking at the subject property. And this is from Dulles Drive, just kind of looking into the site where the former building footprint was. And this is looking to the west, looking to the east along the access road at the corner of Dulles, and looking to the north. The new site plan, again, does include 29 more rooms and 132 additional square feet of meeting space when compared to the previous hotel on the site. However, the applicant could choose to either build a hotel that meets the existing zoning site plan or request zoning for a hotel that meets all of the current hotel development standards. So staff does not find a hardship. And I'm happy to take any questions you have.
I mean, you said that there is a lounge,
Yes.
but it looked like it was showing that they weren't having a.
Yeah, I think that was a typo in our chart.
Okay. So what kind of variance are they requesting in regards to the lounge requirement?
None.
So they don't need a variance on that at all?
Correct.
Okay.
Just, I guess, a comment or question. I know we've had discussions in the past about being mindful of the hotel standards that the city council has passed and that they reflect a certain quality or type of hotel product that they're looking for the city. So do we have any guidance related to, like, say, extended stay type hotels as opposed, or is it purely just staying within, like, some of these variance type of guidelines?
The hotel standards do not distinguish.
Is there anything you can tell us in terms of what happened, why it wasn't approved previously on the previous version of this?
I'll let Jocelyn answer.
Yeah, there was mostly, if I remember correctly, just concern about, because council had asked, are there any other properties along the frontage that, because they're asking for the setback encroachment, the supplemental setback. And so they would be the only one encroaching because everybody else along the highway was going to be complying. And they also just weren't comfortable with the proposal. But the setback was one of the issues.
And that's still what they're asking for now?
Yeah,
That has not
I don't
changed?
believe the proposal has really changed from the original one.
And if I recall being at the council meeting, a lot of it, discussions that were being made was due to the amount of rooms. Council's pretty adamant about getting close to 200 rooms. There's been a lot of proposals throughout the city for different hotels. Hilton has a bunch of products, I mean, the H2 homes, H2 studios, et cetera. But I think council is pretty adamant about staying close to their 200 rooms.
On this property, if this doesn't get approved and they don't rebuild exactly as it originally was, which I take it they don't think that that's financially worthwhile to do, what else is this property zoned to be able to have? What's the underlying zoning?
They would have to change the zoning because it is bound by that existing site plan
Okay.
for CP plus the hotel use. I believe the future land use plan has regional commercial. Yes, regional
Okay.
commercial.
So some sort of regional commercial sort of use would be what would likely be there otherwise?
Yes.
One question, I see it's applicant's Magnolia Hospitality Group. Do we know what the brand of the hotel name is going to be?
Yes, it's Hilton. Hilton, Live Smart Studios by Hilton.
Okay.
Gina, do we know if all of our extended stays meet that 200 requirement? I'm assuming yes, because the hotel policy came into effect in 1999.
I can't remember how many have been approved since that were specifically extended stay.
The answer is probably no. We've had 3 or 4 different sets of hotel development standards, certainly, since the 200-room number went in. Probably no in terms of, just having the 200 rooms and having the ballroom space. Have any been approved with variances that allowed it? I'm sure 1 or 2 probably have over the years. It's been about 18 years since the 200-room, 5,000 square feet, that level
Yeah.
of it came in, so.
So you're
I
saying
was
for the.
just thinking of because there's an extended stay off of Royal. I can't think of the cross street, but that one doesn't look like it's got 200 rooms in it.
But you're saying
Okay.
for the most part, other than maybe a couple of exceptions, any that have been required, they all do have around 200 rooms?
No, probably not. I mean, they have to go
Okay.
through the site plan process anyway, so they
So-
figure, while they're here, you might as well ask for a variance. So most of them probably do not have the 200 unit count.
Okay.
And then do we know, and I guess I can ask the applicant when they're here this evening, but the size of the rooms, because a lot of times the extended stay rooms are bigger than some of the hotel rooms.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Didn't CVB provide a revision to the hotel standards? It had not been officially or formally adopted by council, but there is a different room count than 200, based on what CVB is bringing the standards more current.
Before the pandemic, we'd started that discussion, initiated with CVB, and they were okay with some flexibility, but they wanted to make sure if the bar was lowered, that no variance would be granted.
Correct.
And you can never promise no variances. And so CVB said, if we can't promise no variances, then let's keep the bar high. And then that way they would have to continue to come in to ask for variances. So we changed the parking ratio, don't require a restaurant anymore because we've got different ways to get food, but kept the meeting space high and kept the unit count high because people have the option to ask for variances. So they didn't want to lower the bar and have people lower the bar even more through variances.
What was the room count on that unofficial?
Oh, gosh.
Was it 150,
Was it
170, 150?
150, I think.
Thought it was 150.
I think so.
Yeah, these hotel projects cause me a lot of angst because honestly, what else is going to be built there? So putting in a new product in an area that has some really tired, older product on the north side of the airport, that part doesn't bother me, that it doesn't meet all the current standards. But it does bother me that, to your point, we've lowered the bar considerably, even from what CVB potentially would have preferred or might have preferred.
Oh, the previous proposal, how many rooms were they wanting to have?
They added.
I think it was 100 of what was in the original building.
Oh, the original building
Yeah, it was the 100, around 100.
was.
I didn't see up there what the last proposal it had.
Oh, the last proposal.
Yes, the one that came before us a year ago.
Yeah, they brought that room count up.
It was on your chart.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think it had the
I think
original
the existing
building.
building had.
original, but,
Yes, it had original building on the chart, but I
Yeah.
want to know the last proposal,
Oh,
the one that
they
got voted
added-
down by council.
29 more rooms.
There what?
Is
29 more
101.
rooms. Was that from the original, though? Let's see. Hang on.
It's on page.
They're
Yeah,
making it
I-
130 now, but it was 101.
It was 101 in the building that burned down.
Right, right.
And then when they were proposing building a new building a year ago, or less than a year ago,
I want to say it was in the 120s, but I could be wrong.
okay,
But
so this
I
is,
seem to remember 120-ish.
yeah, that sounds right to me.
If you'll remember the conversation when this was brought to us before, I was concerned about them even being able to rebuild at 101. And they said they were grandfathered in. If they used this to build it, they could go back with what they originally had.
Yeah.
Realistically, can they build 200 rooms with that amount of parking space? But what about the parking spaces?
Probably not. I mean, yeah, even if they go up in floors, they would have to probably do some type of podium parking or something and do a level underneath. It's a tight site. So you're correct, they probably would struggle getting additional parking on the property.
So exactly, so are we able to ask them to build 200 rooms if they really don't have the space for parking?
Yeah, they'd have to do probably podium.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd have to shrink the footprint or go taller, or both.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Thank you. So it says, no, we don't take any action. Does that mean we still have, do we have a public hearing?
So this one's a little different. The case was determined to not be needed, and therefore it's moot. So you can just go on to the companion zoning case.
Okay, so we don't have to do a public hearing or vote or anything?
Not on this one, no.
Wonderful. All right, so we're on 13.
Dylan Harvey, Planning. Zoning case 2025-253ZC, located at 906 Oakland Drive. Their request can go from RMF2 to R6. Staff recommendation is for approval, and there have been no comments for support or opposition. Here's an aerial of the view of the site, future land use, surrounding zoning, the subject property itself, south of the subject property, north of the subject property, to the west, across the street. And yeah, the current house that was built on the property was built around 1949, according to DCAD records. The existing zoning was approved through a city initiative rezoning in 1974. Single family is not permitted in RF2. Since the city initiated zoning in 74, there have been 4 surrounding properties on Oakland that have gone through the zoning process from RFM2 to R6 from the years 87 to 97. And is there any comments or questions?
Any questions? It doesn't look like it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon again. And the final case, transit-oriented development detail plan. As the question marks go over your heads. Transit-oriented development detail plan, 300 block of West Las Colinas Boulevard. The request is to approve the TOD detail plan in accordance with the previously approved TOD general plan and with the UDC section for transit-oriented development and staff recommendations for approval. So this is the Wells Fargo property up to the north of it here. This is the Music Factory over here across the street to the west. Because this has never been actually platted, it didn't ever get an address other than the original DCAD address, which was 300 West John Carpenter, which is way up over there. So that's why I said 300 block of West Las Colinas. Again, it is zoned TOD. the way TOD works is basically you have you can do a general plan and a detailed plan at the same time, or you can do a general plan, get that approved by council, and that sets the zoning. That's kind of sets the box for everything. And then the TOD detail plan everything has to fit within that box. So as long as you stay within that box, it's not a rezoning. It's actually just literally a detailed plan that requires approval by, recommendation by P&Z and approval by City Council. So if they do try to go outside that box, that necessitates variances, which necessitates a whole new TOD general plan. What they're doing here, and I'll show you that in details in a second, is a detailed plan that does conform to all of those requirements. So this is the first floor plan. There's 7 stories. This is the residential on the outside here. You have a couple courtyards. You have the parking garage in the middle, and you have about a 7,300 square foot commercial space over here. This is what it looks like for the first 2 floors, and then floors 3 through 7 basically connect, and you'll see us better with the elevation. It actually connects where the residential now comes over the top, and so these are not actually separate structures. It's more of kind of a tunnel in between. Again, requires P&Z recommendation and council approval. Must comply with the following. It must comply with the TOD section of the UDC. It must be in conformance with the TOD general plan. It must comply with all other codes, including the Urban Business Overlay District. So the TOD general plan said the minimum units was 40 units an acre, maximum 100. They're doing 77 units an acre. Minimum restaurant and retail within a residential building was 2,500 or as much as 30,000 square feet. They're doing 7,300. For freestanding was either anywhere from 0 to 30,000. They don't have any freestanding buildings, so that's 0. That's fine. Height was between minimum of 45 feet, maximum 85 feet to the top plate line. They have it noted on their site plan as a top plate line height of 81 feet 7 inches. So all of these things do comply with the requirements of the TOD general plan. In terms of the parking, that's actually more regulated by, is regulated by the TOD general plan, but also by the urban business overlay. So basically, the multifamily, if you take their unit, and it comes out to 474 units, if you take their projected unit mix, it comes out to be 637 parking spaces required for the multifamily. If it's retail or restaurant, would affect the parking counts, either 30 or 49 spaces. So if that commercial area goes retail, then they would need 667 spaces. If it went for a restaurant, it would need 686 spaces. They're planning on doing 737 spaces, including 728 in the parking garage. And just so you know, in terms of surface level parking, most of these are actually handicap parking over here. There's a couple, 3 or 4 teaser parking over here. Most of the parking for this commercial area is going to be in the first floor as you kind of come in and drive into the parking garage. So it'll be the first level will be relegated for the commercial portion. Again, 474 units, 7,300 square feet. It's a full 7-story. The original plans we had were partial 6 and 7 story. They actually increased it to a full 6 and 7 story. There's also a landscaping plan. Landscaping plan includes 2 landscape courtyards and kind of a third one-ish over here, but 2 full ones. These are 2 courtyards. This is the pool courtyard over here. There's some bicycle parking areas as are required by the TOD district. There's a 4-foot-tall decorative iron private fence, basically goes over here near the units just to have privacy for those individual units there on the ground floor. There's the required number of trees, and they have approximately 32,000 square feet of combined open space, and that includes the 3 courtyards and the pedestrian easement, which of course has the walkway there. This is the conceptual elevation we were provided by the applicant. So to orient you, this is if you're on Las Colinas Boulevard and you're looking at this property. So remember, so this would be the south end of the property over here on the right side of the screen. So you'll recall the commercial area, it looked like it was, if you're just looking at the first floor, it was its own building. And you see how now it's not, because the residential floors 3 through 7 go on top of it. This area here, we confirmed, it looks a little different, but we confirmed this is actually residential here, residential on the ground here. And again, you have the parking garage back over there. This is a rendering, again, this is conceptual. We can't hold them to the actual colors and things like that, but this is what they provided to us. Currently, the site is vacant and nary a tree to be found. And you have the Wells Fargo buildings are going up next door, and of course, the music factory across the street. And you have the other apartment complexes just to the south on the other side of the canal there. So again, they meet all the requirements of the TOD general plan and of the ordinance. Be happy, staff's recommendation is for approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Question, how does this correlate with the new multifamily standards that we put in place? Because this is showing, if I'm correct, 5 occupied floors.
7,
It doesn't
actually.
have to. So the zoning was in place for this one, has been in place for a while, months. And so it is, if you want to use the word grandfather, but this is a continuation of an existing zoning process, an existing zoning entitlement. So this was not measured against the new standards.
And it will not be held against us on any standard, right? Because it was pre-existing?
I'm going to defer to my attorney.
I'm sure somebody will try to one way or the other. The other apartments around there, how many of them are this high? It seemed like most of them were not quite as tall as this.
This is an older apartment complex over here. Older is relative, but it's about, I want to say about 4 or 5 stories, if I remember, on this one. And a lot of the apartment complexes in the urban center itself that are newer were built at kind of the 5-story. The Mustang was built actually as a partial 7-story as well. This one is actually being built at whereas the Mustang was a partial 7-story, this is actually a full 7-story. So we actually like that in the urban center.
Isn't TOD have to be attached to transit?
There's a train on the other side.
Say again, I'm sorry?
Have you tried to walk in the heat of the summertime where there's no trees and no sidewalk? You walk through a field to get to the north, to the line.
Oh.
I mean, is it?
I mean, it's within a half mile, but I don't know
I thought they needed
a
to
whole
be
lot
adjacent.
of, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, TOD requires a half mile from a station. This one, you kind of have to go around Wells Fargo to get there. But, the T of TOD doesn't always come to fruition, especially in this area. But it does meet the letter of TOD.
So the goal is to put another apartment building in that area? Is that what you're saying for TOD? And my concern is, one, is yet another apartment building.
Oh.
2, I see that there's retail on there, so how is it going to impact the retail and the restaurants that's at Toyota Music Factory, as well as on the other side of O'Connor, there's already retail that's empty, exactly. And then a lot of those retail spaces on Lake Carolyn is empty. So how do we hold them accountable for making sure that those are even filled?
There's actually, when we were talking with them earlier, we thought that the first floor was going to be retail. So this is actually really complementary to the Music Factory. It won't be competing with the Music Factory. So there's a small, we thought it was going to be a restaurant, that building kind of on the south side. It may be retail, it may be a restaurant, it'll probably end up being a restaurant, is our guess. But how do we hold people? We can never hold people and require them to fill something, but we can do our best to try to make them successful.
Yeah, and that's my concern, is that a lot of these developers come in and say, oh, we're going to have all of this, and it doesn't happen. We have empty spaces.
They're not, for the proportion of residential they have, this is not much. In terms of being a mixed-use building, if we were holding them to that 10%, they wouldn't be anywhere close. But because they're across the street from the Music Factory, they are providing more of a demand. Part of the draw of being in this area is being in the energy of the Music Factory. So having those residential units there, we see very much to be complementary to that area. And then, of course, you have Wells Fargo next door. So people who, kind of the whole live, work, play thing could all happen right in that same area.
And
Commissioner Reyes?
Yes, do we have a breakdown on like that retail restaurant space? Like, is it just going to be one building? Have they mentioned anything to y'all, the applicant?
We've asked, they are not sure how they're going to feel, if it's going to be retail or restaurant, or it could be divided in two. It would be just this space right here, as you're looking at. Again, it looks like, when you just look at just the first floor, that's separate. It's not. It's actually very smartly located area of the property, because, again, you have the Wells Fargo up here. So they have location here. It's got good views of Lake Carolyn. If it were to be a restaurant or something like that, it's very appropriately located on the site.
Thank you.
And again, just a reminder, this is not a zoning request. This is a detailed site plan. The zoning was approved back in 2022.
No, that actually raises my question. So we have these minimum, maximum, in terms of, I mean, if it was just a matter of saying, are they above the minimum and below the maximums, or are they within that range? Well, then all we would be doing is just a ministerial function. So I take it we're supposed to have some recommendation in terms of judgment here, but I'm not clear on what criteria we're supposed to be considering in looking at that. If it's not a zoning case, what are we supposed to be considering?
Couple things you're looking for. First of all is to basically affirm that it's in compliance with everything, which we're saying that, yes, it does affirm. The other thing, the discretionary part, is if you don't like the mix of it, or, you have that discretionary authority, and Carolyn can talk more to what level that would be in this case, but you do have some discretionary authority to say, no, I want, more or less of this or that. You have that ability as a recommending body, and council ultimately as the deciding body. What you could not do is say, no, I don't want any multifamily there at all. Well, the requirement is that for the zoning is actually to have a minimum of 40 units per acre. So there has to be some, and then the maximum is 100 units per acre. So the multifamily does have to fall within that range. You just can't say it's going to be 120 units an acre, you can't, or that it's going to be, nothing.
So we can't say, hey, we think this should be single-family residential.
Correct.
But we could say 7 stories is too tall, and we think that's going to end up with too many too many units, or we think there should be additional retail, something along those lines. Am I understanding correctly?
You could, yeah.
That would be within the scope of our authority in making a recommendation.
Yes.
One comment.
Oh, you're off.
Excuse me, one comment, one question. With the concern about Toyota factory, with 474 units and the additional number of people living there, I think it's only going to increase the business at the Toyota factory, and would cause some people to give second thought about putting in more restaurants along Los Colinas Boulevard. My question is, do we know, based on this project, what we're talking about in terms of school income from school taxes and city taxes?
No, we don't do tax calculations with zoning. We're only looking at land use. The applicant might know, but we don't run those, we don't run any type of estimations.
So we could ask the applicant if they've done that already.
You could.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know if they
thank you.
have or not.
Is there?
I had
go
another
ahead.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So does this have to be multifamily, or if a company came in, they couldn't build next to Wells Fargo?
Not without rezoning.
Not without rezoning. Yeah, the way it's currently zoned, there has to be a minimum of 40 units per acre. So there has to be a minimum multifamily component.
So only multifamily can go there?
It has to be a minimum of 40 units per acre and minimum of 2,500 square feet of commercial, or a maximum of 100 units per acre of residential and maximum of 30,000 square feet of commercial.
Yeah, just a real quick question. In terms of, obviously, the idea would be that the people living here would go to the music factory area and make use of some of those businesses, which I think Commissioner Pritchard's point, but that's a pretty big street. Is there something that would be done in order to make that a safer, they're not right at an intersection, there's not a light, there's not a crosswalk?
There's recently been a crosswalk installed just north of this property
Okay,
with the rapid flashing beacons.
okay.
That's in operation today.
And that's the edge of this property, where this is?
Yeah, about the
remember where
northern
it is.
edge,
Okay,
right between this and Wells Fargo.
okay.
There are actually two access points onto West Las Colinas. One is over here and kind of lines up with the existing curb cut, and then there's another one down south by where the commercial and garage and one of the garage entries is over here on the south end. And then
I
you
would
can
imagine
actually
people
get
would
in a
want to walk
third
across.
way by coming in through this and then driving around to the parking garage from this side.
Commissioner Reyes? Yeah.
Yes, I would just make the comment that I feel that the retail space and restaurant space, 7,300 square footage, that's tiny. And like for this area, I love the concept. I love the mixed use element to it. But I would just mention that I feel that the commercial residential retail space could be like higher due to like just based on looking at that area and going, there's not many, there's not like a bodega or like a CVS, like a Walgreens or something that you can go into and really utilize from like the two. So that would just be my only comment to really make this a strong multi-use TOD.
Any other questions? Commissioner Singley?
I may agree a little bit with that, with just the commercial space maybe a little bit small. And if we want to put commercial space, because, I mean, 7,300, I think is a restaurant, just one restaurant, and that's it. And so, I don't know. Will this 7-story, will the type of construction, we talked about this last time, would it be concrete and steel? Would it meet the high-rise guidelines, or?
Yeah, based off of the maximum heights that we've kind of already discussed in previous, they would not be able to build this out of wood frame. That's correct.
concrete and steel, and then the top 5 have wood, as I
Wood.
understand.
Yeah, because it doesn't hit that 85-foot mark.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We've had different discussions for setting the ordinance, but the 85-foot mark that this is not at the 85, so those requirements aren't going to come into play. So they could build the podium, kind of like we've talked about, the two-story podium, concrete
If I'm-
still.
If I'm correct, I think over 6 stories, they can use heavy timber, steel, concrete. So there's still an element they could use it, but they still have to, at the 6-story mark, they still have to start using a different type substrate, if I'm correct, from what.
There is, and there is a specific section within the building code for podium-type construction. And it allows a little more than what is found in the charts and tables that we use. And I believe it allows for a 2-story podium, which again is going to be concrete. It's usually going to be a garage, is usually the podium. But it allows for 5 stories of wood frame over that. And that's just in that podium section. If they wanted to build a 5-story without a podium, they could not build the 5-story wood frame. But in combination with that podium, they could.
So right now, they're, 75 feet?
They're 81 feet.
No, what's? No. 81?
81 feet, 7 inches is what
So
they're showing.
can we
on-
request for 85 and then they meet the high-rise standard?
So they actually, I believe they have, I think 85 is the maximum height that they have an agreement with Wells Fargo. They cannot go over that for the aerial, the view shed, So I don't think they could go over 85 feet with their private agreement.
But the rule is at 85.
And that's their general, the TOD plan, it only allows up to 85.
Yeah, that all being aside, this does not have to comply with those rules. I understand the nature of the question, and how they build it will have to comply with the building code, whatever form that takes. I think we can only make speculation as about what they think they might do. I think based on what we see, what they might do is do 2 floors of a podium and then do traditional wood building on top of that. You can't, as I understand it, greater than 85 feet requires a whole different type of construction for the entire building. The maximum height for this district is 85. They cannot go higher than 85. So we could not force them under the zoning that exists today to go higher than 85, which would result in a different set of rules governing construction. Does that make sense?
Now, if I'm correct, and I'm reading this correct, it's 85 feet to the top plate line. That does not factor in the roof line. I mean, you could be another 12, 16 feet. So this thing could actually be 100 and...
However they build it, and however, we'll have to comply with the building code. And how height is measured in the building code is a very specific measurement. I think it talks about the average of the elevation up to the average of the middle of the roof or something like that. So whatever they do will have to comply. And I don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. I think our speculation is as what we've said.
Yeah.
But again, this predates 840. It predates the city's rules, and 840 had a provision that said that projects initiated prior to September 1, today, or yesterday, did not have to comply with 840. Conversely, this project initiated prior to the adoption of our rules that we have in place, and so it can continue under the rules that existed when the project was initiated. Sorry, Ken.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? I think that's it.
That's it.
Great. That was our last item on the public hearing items. The mentions on the agenda, proposed Unified Development Code amendments, carports by special exception.
Yeah, we will be postponing those. Council's still working through what that will be, so we'll get back to you when we do.
Okay. Any future agenda items anybody wants to mention for later, for another meeting? Commissioner Lightfoot would like to ask for pay raises. Being paid would be a good start, but I don't see that happening. All right, well then, the work session is adjourned at 6:53 PM, and we are actually on time to be able to start pretty close to 7 in the other room. See y'all in there.